Okay, I'd like to show you some 3D techniques that we can do to these logos. So we did one, the solid black. It's always got to work in solid black for each one of these. And did one version of it where it was one Pantone color. So the shell's got two Pantone colors. And the Nike's got one Pantone color. Oops, Pantone black. It's not labeled, but we need to make sure to take some of the labeling here and go ahead and label this one Pantone black. But let's make something. Let's do some 3D work. I'd like to do something just a little bit different for each one. So we'll start with the ABC logo. Let's just go ahead and copy this one and set it down right below here, and we'll zoom in on it. And the real simple approach would be one of these kind of 3D bubble looks. It's like what you see on the internet. This is kind of the new one that they're doing, just a simple gradation. But I like to do this bubble technique, see if we can get something to look kind of like that bubble. So we'll go ahead and take the circle, and we want to make a gradient. And that looks pretty good right there. We could do radial. And instead of black, let's use one of those Pantones here. And we'll probably want to change where that spot is. Let's click on here, click on the gradient, and we can move to where that little gleam is. Put the gleam just off of center if we can. We'll take this, maybe bend it down there. Something like that. That gets us a good start. And then we want to take a copy of this circle. This is something that I do typically all the time. Just make this a big stroke. Put the stroke to the inside and make that stroke a lot bigger. Change the blending mode to multiply, and then we will blur it. Probably want to go more than 10 pixels. Let's try 22 and see what that does. We'll put this around for the edge. I'm going to bring it to front. And it is not quite doing what I was hoping to do. So I'm going to see if I can convert this color back to the CMYK color. Make it a little bit darker. We'll change its brightness on its hue. Now it's starting to do it around the edge that I like. You can always make the stroke a little bit bigger if you have to. Something like that. So now that's really starting to bubble up. So I'm going to take a copy of this. We will also make this that Pantone color. We will blur it. Let's preview it so we can see. That's pretty good. Let's change it to multiply on the blending mode, and then you'll set it right underneath the ABC. Don't go all the way to the back because then you can't see it. It needs to be in front of the bubble, but just behind the text. So we may need to bring this to front. So maybe something like that. That's really starting to look 3D. Make sure to hit save. And then something else that they do here, they draw a few little shapes and gleams. Let's do those shapes and gleams. Go back to Illustrator, and I'm going to just pen tool shape like this. Doesn't have to be perfect. Something maybe like that. And we want to make this a very light version of that, something like that. And we want to definitely blur it. Give it a little bit of a blur. Something like that. And then you want to, on this one, probably lighten or screen. And then you change the opacity. Let's type in 35 and see what we get. Probably still a little bit too bright. 25. Let me turn off that. That looks okay. I wonder if we set it down here, if that's okay. That's not bad. I'll put it on 15%. See what that looks like. Okay, pretty good. And then we want to do these little gleams. I'm going to just take a paintbrush, gleam it like that. I'm going to edit that line to try to be more circular if it'll let me. Definitely blur that. And we'll see if we can change that, see if it allows us to change that stroke to something like that. Not letting us exactly. Let me just see if I can try with a new line here. Thick and thin. There we go. That's more like what I was hoping for. Take that and let's see if we can Gaussian blur that. That's much better. Let's get rid of this one. We'll take this one, copy it, flip it around. Something like that. So that's nice and 3D with our little gleams on it. And there's ABC. I'll show you some 3D for some those other ones on the next tutorial.